And then let's see if so. I spent the whole day during the Eagles game putting in a new dishwasher.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, tons of fun.
At least you were able to do it yourself.
Yeah, it was annoying though because it's not close. I don't know. Dishwashers actually are very easy. There's one, two, three things you have to plug in. The water coming into the dishwasher, the return line that goes to the garbage disposal, and then the power cord.
Right.
So technically, it's pretty easy to do. My dishwasher is far enough away from the sink that, yeah, like I had to run the return line the basement, through the basement, and then back up to the dishwasher. The
Gotcha.
people who own the house before me ran it with this weird hose. It was a little too short. There should be a like a loop in the line where it forms like an air pocket, so that way if the garbage disposal gets too backed up, it won't go into the back into the dishwasher.
Gotcha.
Um, so I had to fix that, or like the one that was here before me didn't have it. So now that I was replacing it, I'm like, I'm going to put that in. So I got this extension cable, was almost too short. I had to go back to Lowe's. And then once I realized, hey, a diagonal is a shorter line than trying to go on an L shape.
Yeah.
Then the original one was long enough. I was like, oh, so it could have been if I had all the right things and if I was smart the first time, you can do it in like an hour. It took
Right.
me like 6.
Yeah. Well, that's normal for a homeowner trying to,
Yeah, trying to do it themselves. So this is saying that it's going live, but I'm not finding it. By your team, all one word, your team. So let's switch accounts. Go to this one. YOUR, your team sucks. All right, there we got that. Okay, episode 4, weeks 5 and 6 recap. All right, I think I found it. Let's see, where's the share button? One person's watching it. Here we go. Share. I'm going to share this to Facebook.
I'll see if I can get it.
So on my link to my page, you should be able to find it. I'm also going to try and see if I can share it now onto our main page. Yes. Here we go. Post. All right. So that's posted. Go back to this. Let me hit play and make sure I can hear stuff. I think I found it. Okay, yes. Let's see. Where's the share? Okay. All right. That's going. All I need to do is turn on Audacity, and then we can start this right on time. Look at us.
Yeah. So it's on now. It should be.
It's up. Yeah, I posted it to the Your Team Sucks Facebook page, so you should be able to see a link that just posted to that. I also posted a different link to my page. Recording device line 2. So you should see it on either one of those two pages.
Got it.
Check. 1, 2. All right, let me just. Okay. Awesome. Audacity looks okay.
And you're saying that can you watch it on Facebook or is it just on YouTube that you can watch
Just
it?
on YouTube, but
Gotcha.
the link there sends you that link sends you
Send you to
to
the YouTube one, yeah.
yeah. And since last time I updated my Wi-Fi, so hopefully we don't have any dropouts.
Yes, I hope so as well. I can't make any promises on my end, but I did get rid of I closed out
All the
all the
extra
other
tabs, yeah.
yeah, all the extra tabs. So
All your Minecraft games and Roblox and
no, it's mainly fantasy football and email and
the Barbie game. You know you got the Barbie game on there. It's all
I
good.
do have a 9-year-old daughter.
There you go. All right, are you ready?
Yep, let's do
All
it.
right, let's do it. I'm gonna hit record. Well, Mike, both teams won today. That was awesome.
What?
I have a question for you. At what point would you turn off an Eagles game?
I believe I'd probably end up doing it sometime before just throwing it out there.
Of course, it froze as soon as you said sometime before.
Before 47-9, yeah.
Oh,
The
before
under
47-9. What was the over on today's game, by the way? Do you know that by any chance? Are you a
I,
gambling man?
no, I'm not a gambling man. I don't.
Okay.
I would imagine 56 is usually a pretty high. I
Yeah.
imagine it hit the over.
And
It,
especially
it's
since Detroit scored all the points.
yeah. I was going to say. I mean, Detroit themselves might have hit the over. They may
Yeah,
not have
I
needed.
think they did.
They may not have needed any help from Dallas on that.
They did not need any help. Well, on that note, let's start the show. Come on, Mike, scratch. All right, y'all. Welcome to Your Team Sucks. My team really sucked today. The podcast where football rivalries are at their finest and tempers are always flaring. I mean, I'm mad at the Cowboys. I can't even be mad at you. You guys pulled out a win. I'm Rob, your diehard Cowboys fan, which is very tough right now. And trust me, I've got a lot to say about America's team.
It's tough to say America's team right
It
now.
is tough. Look, they've been America's game of the week on Fox for 4 out of the 6 weeks so far. I think after this performance and then the bye next week, I think we are no longer going to be on America's game of the week.
You probably will because you're playing the 49ers and
True.
they're gonna,
And that's a good rivalry. So we'll be back as the game of the week.
right. They'll put you on that just because San Fran's also
Yeah.
expected to be a top team. But they're struggling as well. But
They're
anyway.
struggling as well. Yeah.
Hi. As we're going off the rails here, I'm Mike. I'm the one and only Eagles fanatic who's here to remind you that I root for two teams every week: the Eagles, who won today, yay for me, and whoever is playing the Cowboys. In this case, that would be the Lions. And boy, did they ever win! So we're gonna break down the both games, stir up some good natured trash talk. I'll be doing most of the talking at this point.
I'll be doing all the crying,
and we're gonna make sure we're gonna just make sure that everyone knows just how incredible the Eagles are. Well, they're not incredible, but
hey,
they're
they
not
won.
the Cowboys.
It's up to you. All you need is to know is you got that W and we did not. Buckle up because we're diving deep into the rivalries, the stats, which were very highly in favor of the Lions, and everything in between. Whether you're silver and blue, still somehow I don't know who's left. I mean, we're America's team. But how many are still hanging on? And the green and white, like Mike over there, because they did win. We promise you'll get an earful.
And remember, it is all in good fun. At the end of the day, we're all just fans of this crazy, amazing game. So let's get into it. This is Your Team Sucks.
Yeah, but before I start to cry even more, I want to tell you where you can find us. Check us all out on YouTube at Your team sucks. If you type in your team, all one word, and then sucks as the second word, you'll be able to find it much easier. On
And sucks
Instagram,
is SUX, by the way.
SUX. That's right, because we're cool, hip kids like that, and we spell it
Mhm.
differently. Your team sucks pod on Instagram and on Facebook. Your team sucks SUX podcast. You can also find us through either Mike or I's page because we post things to both of them at the same time.
Yep. And you can listen to it on Spotify, the Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Amazon for now. So we definitely need your help. Rate us whenever you listen. The more ratings, the better we can get on this. And go to the YouTube channel or YouTube page and follow us on there as well. So let's get into the fun stuff.
Let's get into the fun stuff. Last week, the Cowboys beat the Steelers. That was awesome. The Eagles were in a bye week, and the Cowboys beat the Steelers 20-17. Did you watch? It was on Sunday Night Football. It was
No, I was planning on watching it, and then when the rain delay caused it to be like an over an hour, I said, "Screw this! I'm going to bed."
yeah.
And yeah,
So I did actually fall asleep. They were they had a countdown up. Oh, by the way, I'm drinking again. There's no crying in baseball. Hazy Mango IPA by Evil Genius because I'm going to be doing a lot of crying tonight.
yes,
Hear that
I
ice?
I really, if I planned this a little bit better and thought it out, even though I'm not as big of a fan of it, I would have got the Dallas Sucks beer.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you would
Um,
have rubbed that in. It would have been a perfect week for it too. But yeah, so they do have that around here in the Philadelphia area, so you can pick it up. So yeah, so last week it was on Sunday
I
Night
got the
Football.
Amstel, by the way,
Oh,
just
there you go.
throwing it out there. It's always a good go-to.
Always a good import Amstel.
Yes.
Um yeah, so I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and then the timer showed up and saying 15 minutes. They're coming on in 15 minutes. I had the TV on in the bedroom as I was waiting, and then next thing I know, it was like 9 to 6 to 9 or 9 to 6 to 10, something like that. I woke up. It was like the second quarter. I was like, oh, and then I couldn't fall back asleep. So I wound up watching all the exciting parts of the game. Um,
Okay.
so I did get to watch it all the way to the end when the big play at the very end of the game, the catch for the touchdown to win the game right before the end of the game. The second half, the Cowboys looked good. They looked like they knew what they were doing, even with the injuries that we have on defense. I thought for sure the Steelers' offense was going to tear us apart because of the injuries, but they didn't, and we wound up winning that game. And I was like, yes, the Cowboys could be turning around. The season could be turning around. This would be good. We have a couple of big injuries with Micah Parsons and huge guys on our defense that are out, so it's pretty scary in that case. So I thought, all right, we're gonna be fine. We're
And
line.
it's in Pittsburgh. Like you
It was,
travel
yeah,
to Pittsburgh, and in Pittsburgh, that's a good win. Now Pittsburgh is an interesting team in and of themselves. Not
yeah.
to cut you off, but I'll let you
No,
kind
go
of
ahead.
continue
Yeah,
talking
no,
about
go ahead, go ahead.
it. Okay, so yeah, I mean Pittsburgh is seems a little bit offensively challenged. I'm still not a Justin Fields fan.
Right.
Um, their wide receiving core and even Fryermuth, their tight end, they're not producing all that much. Even today, um, Najee Harris got off. Okay, had a good week, had over 100 yards and a little bit of a longer touchdown. So uh, Pittsburgh just, I don't know if I should believe in them. They've won a lot of games, but I feel like they haven't played a whole lot of people, but they have a winning record, and you played
Hmm.
them in Pittsburgh and you beat them. I mean, that's
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
credit where it's due. That's a good win.
Yeah, so I was like, all right. And they were 3-1 at the time. So it was a good win. They beat the Falcons. They beat a couple other teams. I forget who else they beat. But it was like, okay, good. We're this is good. I'm very happy. And then this week rolled around. But that was the 4 o'clock game because that was the game of the week.
Yes.
What do you think of Tom Brady, by the way? Speaking of the game of the week, since he's been announcing the games of the week.
Uh, he's okay.
I feel the same way. I feel like he's just okay. I feel like he could be better. I know you're not probably not a huge fan. You might be a fan of his broadcasting, but uh, the Cowboys quarterbacks who do the announcing, the hell's his name? Uh,
Aikman and
no,
Romo.
yeah, Romo. Romo. I love the way Romo. It's funny. People, did we talk about this already on the show about Romo?
I'm not sure. I know that people liked him at first and then got annoyed with him.
I think people got annoyed with him because he was calling what the play was going to be before it happened, and he
Well,
knew.
no, they liked that at first, but then they thought that it just got like it was too in your face. He was doing it too frequently. He was
Right.
just they thought it got annoying, I guess.
And it also made me laugh. One of the people that I work with was like, if he knows what all the plays are, how come he wasn't a better quarterback? And I'm like, yeah, like you, if you know all the time what's happening, what's going to happen, then you should have been able to win a Super Bowl, you know.
Well, I mean, he knew every play in the regular season, and then when things
But
got
right.
complicated, when things changed up in the playoffs,
Yeah, when they changed it up in the playoffs, then
you have to hear how he calls the game in the playoffs and see if he's still got his still on his A game about that.
that is true. So yeah, and Troy Aikman's been doing it forever. I like Troy Aikman. I just don't like Joe Buck. I think Joe Buck is such a fan of Troy Aikman that that's annoying because he's always like the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman. I'm standing here next to the Hall of Famer, and I'm like, we know he's the Hall of Famer. You say it every single week. Like, move on with it. Give me something else. Tell me something else about him. You know, like,
Yeah, I mean, I just I feel Joe Buck's pompous.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, 100%. So anyway, so this week on the game of the week, the Cowboys, Micah Parsons was out with an ankle injury. Eric Kendricks was out with a shoulder injury. I'm pretty sure Zach Martin didn't play. Um, who else was out? Questionable. Bland, Carson, Diggs, with an ankle and an illness.
Diggs
Uh,
did play.
Diggs did play.
He
Okay.
got burnt.
He did get burned. He's going to blame the illness on that. I wasn't feeling well. I wasn't
Hmm.
fast enough. Hooker, did Hooker play?
I don't know about that
He
one.
was a safety neck. It was unspecified. But yeah, so we have one, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys that were possibly unspecified, questionable, or out before the game started. And Detroit had 4.
Detroit lost Hutchinson.
They did lose Hutchinson, which was bad.
Yeah,
It looked like his ankle just rolled around in a complete circle on him.
yeah, they didn't. They wouldn't even show it,
No.
and I don't want to see it.
So I rewound it because I was like, all right, let me see what happened. In the rewind, you really couldn't tell too much, but when he was being taken off, you could see like it got rolled up underneath him. So it wasn't like right before they went to a commercial when he first got hurt, it wasn't like his foot was completely backwards or like something like Joe, was it Joe Namath who had like that horrific injury?
Okay,
And who was the other quarterback whose leg was completely
Theismann.
shattered? Yeah, Theismann. Yeah. Um, so it wasn't something like that. And like I remember Theismann because they didn't know any better. They're like, look at this. Oh my gosh, you know, and it's like, no, don't show that.
Yeah,
Um, but when it first happened, you could see him like get rolled up, but you really couldn't see how bad it was. But I mean, it was 2 commercial breaks. They had his leg in an arm or in an air cast, and they had his shoe off when they were taking him off the field. So, you know, it's not going to be something that just he'll be back next week, which is a shame because you don't want anybody.
no, I mean he was trending to be the defensive player of the year.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. He was their best defensive player. He was, and I mean the Cowboys got destroyed. He was, I think it was on a sack, no less. So he was
Right.
definitely doing that. Yeah, so you don't want to see anybody get hurt ever, no matter who it is. But unless you know it's the Eagles and they have a picture of giant banner hanging up inside the stadium of Troy Aikman getting destroyed. But you know that's Philadelphia for you, folks. Um, so yeah, you don't want to see anybody get hurt. So it's a shame because that he's going to be out for a while. It's
Yeah, he's not coming back this year.
no, no. So that's a shame for him. I hope he
Do you wonder if that's going to be that might ruin his career?
it could. It could. It's
Yeah,
such a shame because if you're not gonna be able to put weight on it the right way again, like depending on what is broken, if it's his two lower leg bones and they're like shattered, that's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad news.
yeah, and I know I have to imagine that he uses his ankles and the bend, and that's
Oh
his
yeah.
get off and the speed, and that like, yeah, I would bet money that he's never going to be the same player again,
No.
which
Which is
is yeah, that sucks.
that does suck. It sucks big time because when you got somebody who's possibility of being defensive player of the year and then, gets injured that way, hopefully he comes back. We don't know.
Yeah,
We don't know
like
yet.
yeah, let's hope for the best. Let's hope for
Yeah,
the
let's
best
hope
for
for the
him.
best. All right, so let's start with the 1 o'clock game. There was the Cleveland Browns
And
who
the Eagles,
and the
yes.
Eagles. So
Cleveland was 1-4 coming into the game. Eagles well rested on a bye, their second home game of the year. Um, the highest point spread of all the games this week. They
oh
got
wow.
back AJ Brown. They got
Hmm.
Devontae Smith back. Lane Johnson played. They were healthy. They were rested. They were home. They were playing a bad team. Um, even if they're an okay team, this should be a double digit win.
Yeah,
It wasn't. It
it was.
wasn't a double digit win. Um, take things into account the fact that they're up 10-3. They're driving. Uh, they do this little screen pass to Barkley, and Barkley makes a mistake of stepping out of bounds before getting the first down.
Uh-huh.
Um, they never get the first down. On third down, they take a sack,
Was
and
that
then try the 57-yard field goal.
was it a screen pass and then he was running? I was putting in a dishwasher this afternoon.
Right, yeah, yeah.
So
So
yeah.
it was a little screen pass. It
Okay.
was 2nd and 1. It was a screen pass,
Okay.
and all he needed to do, and they're running out of time. They had 3 timeouts. I don't know why they were so worried about like
Yeah.
that, but he wanted to get the first down and get out of bounds, but he didn't get the first down before getting out of bounds. Now there was a guy like kind of coming up on him,
Okay.
but if he could have made the first down, like the better play would have been to get the first down.
Right.
Um,
And you could
go
even
into the guy, get the first
timeout
down. You had
or
3 timeouts. You could have taken
yeah,
a timeout.
you could have taken a timeout. You could have spiked the ball.
Yeah,
There's so many different things that you could have done. And I mean, if it's a first down, they do stop the clock for a second to move the chains. So
right.
you could quickly set right back up again. And,
But
you know,
again, there's 40 seconds left. You got three
mhm,
timeouts. There's
yeah.
there's
Yeah.
not much that you need to worry about with that.
So
Uh,
here's my question. And talking about plays like this, these guys have been playing football the majority of their lives. I can't stand when guys, you have to get 3 yards and it's like a crossing pattern and they run 2.5 yards.
yep.
I'm like, take that extra step, get to the first down marker. That way, if you catch it and get hit right away,
You
you
got
have
the
the
first
first
down.
down.
Yeah. I
I
mean, and it's crazy because it's Barkley.
hmm
Barkley knows better.
yeah,
I actually, I think that Barkley's a smart player.
right.
Um, so anyway, so it ends up they get a sack the next play. Now it's up to a long field goal. Um, Miles Garrett jumps, literally jumps from one side and over the team and gets his hand up and blocks it.
Okay.
He did it once
Oh,
before.
is this when he ran it all the way back or no?
They ran it all the way back. He jumped up. Like if you touch a player, it's a penalty
Right.
because it's like
Yeah.
leapfrog or like it's
Yeah.
whatever. If
Yeah.
you could get over it without touching
Without touching
someone,
anybody. That
it's a play.
the Pittsburgh player did that against the Cowboys last week too. He dove an angle over the pile to block I think it was the extra point or something like that. It was crazy. Where
Yeah,
he took off from and where he landed was ridiculous. So, all
yeah.
right.
So he gets a hand on it, bats it away. They pick it up and score. So you're talking the Eagles were driving. They were going to possibly score. That was going to be 7 points for them. They were going to get up 17-3. At worst, it was going to be a field goal. It was going to be 13-3 going in half. It ends up 10-10 at half.
Right. Okay.
So that's big.
Yeah. Yeah. Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
So um, Eagles go back down. I think they score or something. Uh, and then um, and then Cleveland comes back and ties it 13-13.
Okay.
Then that's when the Eagles get another touchdown, another nice touchdown. They go up 20-13. And you started feeling good about the game
Right.
because Cleveland hasn't done anything all game.
No. No.
And their only touchdown came on that block field goal.
Right.
But lo and behold, naturally, in true Eagles
In
fashion,
true
Cleveland
Eagles
drives
fashion.
down into the red zone and has an opportunity to tie the game. Unfortunately, I was driving to my daughter's soccer game, so I didn't quite see how it all panned out, but I
Okay.
know that they ended up settling for a field goal on that drive. The Eagles got the ball back, um, got a first down or two, and then on like third down, they opt to throw a 40-yard pass to AJ Brown down to like the 12-yard line.
Okay.
He catches it, and that's the game. Now they can kneel on the ball.
Now,
But it's like, why are you taking that
yeah.
shot? Like
Right.
you don't need that. Like you're trying to run out the clock. Why are you going deep on that play?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need to go deep. You just need to get a first down so that way you can move the chains and keep the clock going and then call it a day. So yeah. Stat leaders, Deshaun Watson, only 168 yards. I think the only worst quarterback was some guy named Dak, maybe.
He might have been worse. Dak might. Well, if you add in the interceptions, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I have it over here somewhere. Oh darn it. Yeah. All right. So we'll go back to this for a second.
Yeah, I mean, I know
Caleb
Hurts ended up with somewhere around 250.
264, two
Yeah,
touchdowns.
2 touchdowns.
Saquon Bar 18 carries, only 47 yards.
Yeah,
Um, rushing, Pierre Strong had 43 yards. So it was
Pierre
not
Strong was a he was. They ended up. Jerome Ford ended up getting hurt.
okay. So then they had to go with him. Amari Cooper, 42 yards receiving. AJ Brown, 116 and a touchdown. But you said that the pass at the end of the game was like a 40-yard pass at the end of the game.
That was one, and then he had like a 28-yard touchdown or something. That was a nice catch too. I mean, both were nice catches that he had.
Okay.
Not sure what else where
Yeah.
the other catches came into play, but I mean that was the bulk of the damage that he did.
Right.
Um, so yeah, defense looked pretty good, mind you, against a really bad Cleveland team that
Yeah.
Dallas dismantled.
Because it's crazy because coming into the season, there was so much talk about how good the Browns were going to be. Deshaun Watson was going to be, you know, the quarterback of old. Um, the Browns were going to be, they were a playoff contention team last year. They were going to be even better this year. And then they now have looked pretty bad. So
Yeah,
don't know why, but same thing with the Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys look really bad too, and they won a division last year. They were, they had just a handful of losses, and of course, in the playoffs we always lose. Handful of losses, but a great team and whatever. So it is interesting now. 6 weeks in, we are starting to see which teams are good and which teams are bad.
yeah, but you know what? As much as we're seeing that, we're also seeing so many different kind of like we were talking about with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's um, just so like they're up and down.
Yeah,
Baltimore was terrible in the beginning of the year. Now it looks like they found their stride. I'm still trying to kind of figure it all out. Is Washington legit?
right. That was what I was going to ask you. Is Washington legit? I mean, they did lose today to Baltimore, but Baltimore looks like the team that could be not representing the AFC in the Super Bowl, definitely in the
In
final
that
two
conversation.
in that
Yeah.
conversation. Yeah.
Um, Yeah, I mean, they're Washington's. I think that they have a chance to win the division.
Yeah.
Uh, right now, I never would have thought that you would ask me. I would have laughed in your face if you would have said Washington's winning the division. Right now, I would say they're the front runner.
I agree. It was funny. I don't know if you know who Annie Anger is.
Yeah,
So she has her own podcast now, also, and I
of
listened
course she
to
does.
everybody has it. Hey, if you have a microphone, you have a podcast. Just look at
Right.
us two idiots here. Um, but her first episode, she was saying that Washington could sneak in and wind up winning the division this year, and I was like, no chance. But I don't know. I mean, they're looking pretty good right now. It's pretty scary
Yeah,
because
the
they,
quarterback's looking really good.
yeah, yeah. Um, I'm looking at the NFL quarterback 2024 player stats for passing, and Geno Smith's in first place
Really.
with 1,778 yards passing.
Total
Um,
yards passing. Okay.
all right, well, let's see. Let's do what can we go by? Yards per attempt. He has 251 attempts. Completion percentage. Let's go by yards per attempt because that's probably no, because Donnie Mitchell has 24 passing yards and one pass for 24 yards. So that's
Yeah,
not going
that's not going to help.
to attempts. Let's go with attempts. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, Geno Smith with the most attempts, 251 attempts. And then Dak Prescott's in second place, 1,600 yards passing already, 7.2 yards per attempt, 224 yards. Maybe we'll do touchdowns to interceptions. He has 8 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Oh, rating. Let's go by rating. There we go.
Yeah, I think a rating is
That's
probably the
good enough.
best.
Yeah. So Amon Ra St. Brown. I think
Well, he's
he's the
yeah.
backup. He
Well,
has seven
no,
passing.
Rob St. Brown is the wide receiver.
Oh, he's a wide receiver. He has
Yeah,
seven
he's like a
passes.
really good wide receiver for Detroit.
Yeah, he had one attempt for 7 yards. He has a passer rating of 135. That's
Hmm.
really funny. Tyrod Taylor has a passer rating of 122 with his 8 attempts. All right, no, this is all good. Oh, man. Joe Burrow. Here we go. Finally, Joe Burrow, 173 passing attempts, passer rating of 113. Baker Mayfield, passer rating of 109.
Joe Burrow's
Lamar,
been terrible.
yeah, well, his team's terrible, but he has 173 attempts, 1,300 yards, and a passer rating of 113. He has 12
Hmm.
touchdowns to 2 interceptions. That's crazy. I
Right.
didn't think.
I mean,
Baker
he's
Mayfield.
starting to come on a little bit. Baker
Yeah,
Mayfield's looked good,
yeah. Baker Mayfield's looking really good. Lamar Jackson is next down the list. He's third.
and he's got a lot
Lamar,
of rushing yards too.
yeah. They're not listed on this chart, but his
Right.
passer rating is 108 with 10 passing touchdowns, and then he also has the rushing yards.
Yeah.
And then Jaden Daniels.
There he is.
He's
Yeah.
that's Washington, right? There you go. That's it.
Yep.
So he's got a 107, 166 attempts, 1,400 yards, 6 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. So yeah. Why isn't whatever? Yeah. So there's our quarterbacks that we're looking at right now.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, Nick Sirianni was getting into it with the fans because they were booing.
Yeah.
So that happened. You know,
So
if you're following along as a Philadelphia fan, there's a lot of chatter that they're not happy with him and they're calling for his head. But then again, they're also calling for Thompson's head and
yeah. Well,
you
that's
know,
filled up. That's why I'm not an Eagles fan because although I mean the
yeah, but you're a
Phillies
Phillies fan and
I'm a
you're
Phillies fan, and we
it's the
do the
same.
same thing. Yeah, I mean, right now they are calling for new management as well, new chiefs and all that good stuff over there. But
Yep.
I mean, we did lose to the Mets, so if you lose in the playoffs to the Mets, then you deserve to be yelled at. Um, so that was the 1 o'clock game. The Eagles sneak it out. They had their moments where they played like poo, but when it came down to it, they wound up winning at the end, which is what you wanted your team to do. So it's a W, and then you're done. And then 4 o'clock rolls around with the game of the week, and it was not. It
Yeah, I
was
mean, watched that game. I forget what the hell the score was when I started watching it, but it was 14-3, 21-3.
yeah,
It was bad to start.
it was 27-6 at halftime.
Yeah.
It was 27-6. It started out, and here's the problem. This is I'm going back many years now. Um, at the very beginning of fantasy football on what was that? Fantasy football on the computer. And I told my friend and I were co-owners of a team, and I told him, I said, whatever you do, make sure you get the Cowboys kicker because the Cowboys are not going to score any touchdowns, and the kicker is going to get a boatload of fantasy points.
Yeah.
And sure enough, being in the Philadelphia area, nobody ever wants to take anybody from the Cowboys because they hate the Cowboys so much. Now, CeeDee Lamb, maybe, probably people have come around and they're like, look, he is their number one. He is a $200 million wide receiver. He should be getting me a lot of fantasy points, so I'll take him.
But he's not.
But he's not at all. And even like, I would take Dak Prescott the past couple of years, and people are like, why are you taking him?
No, I
Fantasy
mean
wise,
fantasy wise, it's the same thing with Romo. They
uh-huh.
they put up they put up great fantasy numbers.
They put up great fantasy numbers. So you want to take them. But anyway, um so people are like, "Oh, you're taking a Cowboys kicker," but he was like the highest fantasy kicker of the season, and because of him, we won some games because we got so many so many field goals out of them. And I feel it's going to be the same thing this year. The Cowboys are going from 30 to 30. They're good, but they can't get past the 30-yard line and get
Yep.
into the end zone for some reason this year. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we have absolutely no run game. We have CeeDee Lamb, but then once you get down, when you have smaller spaces, it's easier to zone cover better, and it's easier to even man cover him better because he can't burn you because he doesn't have as far to go.
Yep.
So they have to keep it shorter. And, at halftime, it was 27-6. The Cowboys scored 3 field goals today. That was it. And the Lions, the Lions, even in the fourth quarter, they're still throwing the ball. And
Yeah, I know. I seen that.
I'm like, guys, you won. Like, just run out the clock already. The announcers, Tom Brady and we're talking, they're trying to get an offensive lineman a touchdown also. And I'm
Right.
like, okay, I get it at this point. It's just a joke of a game at this point. But at the same time, is there a mercy rule like they have in high school football where once you get to 33 points, the clock doesn't stop running?
Hmm.
The Cowboys need that right now. We need this mercy rule.
Yeah.
And there wasn't one, and the game just kept going and going and going. And I'll tell you, if it wasn't for coming on here tonight and complaining about this, at 27-6, I would have put on Bob's Burgers. I was at that point, I was like, all right, I'm going to watch something else now because we are, and it's not even like it was 27-6, but the Cowboys looked like they had a shot of coming back in the second half.
Yeah. It
It
looked
was,
bad.
it looked bad. It was 27-6, where it was a NFL team playing against a high school team. Like the Cowboys looked like a high school team against them. It was bad.
Yeah.
And my favorite stat of the day, which is actually going to be, I'll talk about it later because it's my award for the night as well. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing. Dak Prescott, 178 yards, 2 interceptions. Like he did worse than where did it go? He did worse than Deshaun
Deshaun
Watson.
Watson. Yeah.
He had 168 yards. Dak Prescott had 178 yards. He
But
threw
the two
10 more
interceptions.
yards, but 2 interceptions. So
Yeah.
Jared Goff, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns, 18 for 25. Like
And he had a ball cap on in the fourth quarter.
he did. Yeah, he wasn't even playing in the fourth quarter. Um, Montgomery had 80 yards. Montgomery had 80 yards. Gibbs had
Gibbs had like
63 yards.
70.
Yeah. And Craig Reynolds had 21 yards. They had 184 yards rushing
Hmm.
and 2 touchdowns. And the Cowboys managed 53.
Yeah.
Dowdle had 25. Elliott had 17. I'm like,
And
come
Elliott
on.
got his 17 in garbage time.
In garbage time, yeah. When they were playing prevent defense. Um, So yeah, CD Lamb 89 yards receptions, yards, 7 receptions. I will say when they targeted him and when they threw to him, he did look good, but they only threw to him 7 times, and it was very tight coverage on him the whole time.
Yep.
There was 14 targets and he had 7 receptions. So the seven that he caught of the 14 targets
Right.
um were good, but we got Tolbert and we have Turpin are the two other guys. Dowdle had 30 yards receiving on 6 targets, 5 receptions. So they were all like screen passes. But Tolbert and Turpin um, are next up, and those two aren't getting enough attention from defenses to get CD to his 100-yard games that he should be having for your fantasy team
For yeah, he should be having them every week. I don't know
every
what
week.
if you have one touchdown, but again, yeah, this is your Jerry problem.
Yeah,
This
100%
is
Jerry
your like
problem.
you guys did not
Nope,
address free agency. You didn't attack free
no,
agency really at all,
we didn't attack it at all. And Derrick Henry wanted to come here.
and
Derrick Henry
Derrick Henry is having a monster
having
year.
a monster year, and we get we get Zeke back, and we get the he's on the practice squad, the
Oh,
Minnesota
Cook, yeah,
Cook. We get Cook and Zeke, and Cook's on the practice squad. There are two big like running back signings when Derrick Henry wanted to come here, having a monster year. If we had him, it could be different, but whatever. So yeah, this is 100% a Jerry issue, and
yeah. We as Eagles fans, we just get excited every year that Jerry's still
love
alive.
it.
Every year that Jerry's still alive is a good year for us. We're like,
You're
all
like
right.
perfect, perfect. Jerry's still alive. Jerry's still running the team. And
Mhm.
also, I mean, Jerry and his son are running the team together now. So even when Jerry does pass away, the son's just going to take over, and he's not doing anything that Jerry's not doing either. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. We need a manager, a GM in there who knows football better than the guy who knows how to make millions of dollars in oil and then buying a team and then saying I'm going to run it.
Yep. No, so yeah, I mean
So, yeah. So
it's been a fun it's been a fun day from that standpoint. You know that the fact that the Eagles didn't look great, and when I was thinking about the show, I'm like, well, it's not going to be great to talk about the Eagles. Yeah, they won, but I'm not excited about it. But I did get excited watching the Cowboys get their ass kicked. I was like, oh, this will be fun.
I did like you did text me and say, "Are you sure you still want to do this?" And I was like, yeah, this is part of the gig. This is what I signed up for. I was hoping I should have started this last year when we had a phenomenal season in the regular season. It would have been much better. Uh,
Yeah, the Eagles were 10-1. It would have been pretty
yeah,
interesting to see how that went.
it would have been a lot more, definitely, but whatever. Anywho, the Cowboys are 3-3 now, which is funny. They're like still in it.
That's the thing. Like the Eagles were 2-2, and everybody was like looking at them like this is a dumpster fire disaster. I'm like, they're above 500 right now, and we're calling have the head coach fired. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah. You're
Dallas
winning.
is 3-3, and the sky is falling. Like it's
Hmm.
eh, it, it, I
But
don't know.
it's the way we're 3-3. That's the problem. I think that's the big problem for both, even the Eagles too. I mean, you won this week, but like you said, it was a scary win to say the least.
Yep.
And with Washington playing the way they're playing, it's like, are we going to be fighting for second place? And with the NFC North being as strong as that is, very few teams outside of the NFC North are going to be seeing any playoff uh, hopes. So it's going to have to be win the division, or in the Eagles' case, second place in the division, but have uh, 10, 12 wins in there maybe, because I don't think the Cowboys are going to get to that point. But um,
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not. I'm withholding judgment on what happens going forward because I just don't know yet.
oh, and you froze.
Detroit
Perfect. Oh, you did it again.
Oh, am I back now?
Oh, almost. Let me see what the time is. The time was 38 minutes. All right, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here now.
There you go. All right, you were going to say I'm holding judgment.
Yeah, I'm holding judgment until I see a little bit more from all the teams um, in the division. I don't know
Yeah,
if Dallas is as bad as they seem right now. I don't know if the Eagles. I kind of feel like the Eagles aren't that good right now.
right.
I
Yeah,
don't know if Washington's any good. Um, Pretty sure the Giants stink.
yeah. The Giants are also losing right now to Cincinnati 7-0.
Okay,
So not only do they stink, but they're still losing.
right,
Um, yeah,
Eh,
I think Washington might. I mean, their quarterback's legit. He's young too.
right.
Um, I think they might be legit.
Hmm.
It will be interesting to see who they play. So they lost to Tampa Bay. They beat the Giants. They beat Cincinnati 38-33. They beat Arizona 42-14. They beat Cleveland 34-13. So they scored 37. Nope, they lost. So they scored 20, 21, 38, 42, 34, and then today 30 or 23 today.
Right.
They've scored a lot of points, even in their two loss point games, and then the wins are all 30 and above.
Hmm.
Um, so and they play Carolina next, which
That's a
aren't
win.
they? Yeah, they're dumpster fire. Um, Chicago is doing okay. I mean, they're in that north. They're in that tough north division.
Yeah, Chicago and Washington are like seem like the same team right now.
Yeah, that'll be a
That will be a fun one.
fun one to watch. That's on CBS, so it'll be CBS's game of the week. Chicago and Washington there. Then they
Which
play
is
the
weird.
Giants.
That's a CBS game, even though both are NFC teams.
Yeah, I don't understand. It used to be all AFC on CBS and
Yep.
all NFC on Fox.
Fox. Yep.
And somehow now there's all these crossover games, which I don't understand even a little bit.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, so if you can figure that out, if fans who are listening, if you can figure out why there are some all NFC teams playing on ABC, please let us know. Um, and then they play Pittsburgh, Philly, Dallas. So by November 24th is when they play the Cowboys. So by that point in time, I mean, there's still no, there's only 2 weeks after that. No, one, two, three, four. So
That's
there's
like
5 weeks.
yeah.
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 So by the time they play the Cowboys the first time, we'll definitely know if they're legit or not.
Yep.
Because Chicago will be an interesting game. But then it's the Giants in Pittsburgh and then Philadelphia. So it's going to be up and down in there to see if they are legit or not.
Yep.
They did come out strong, so hopefully for them, maybe they are legit, but not for the rest of us in the NFC East. I like it when the Eagles are bad, Washington is bad, New York is bad. I'm like, okay, good. Like we just easy win for us. But this year we're the easy win. I feel like. Um,
Still too hard to tell right now. Like I said, the only thing I feel pretty good about is the Giants stink.
yeah, 100%.
The rest of it could go any
Could go
like
anyway.
the rest of it you could throw into a blender and who knows what's going to be spitting out.
Yeah, that is the truth. That is the truth. All right, so let's talk about. Oh, I wrote week 3, but it's actually week 5. The week 5 and 6 matchups in the past. The Eagles played the Cowboys on October 9th, 2005. And this game, the Cowboys won 33-10. I was very happy about that. Cowboys were 3-2. The Eagles also finished the game 3-2. Team stats. This one was in Texas. Uh, Here we go. Donovan McNabb was your quarterback. He had a whole 131 yards,
Oof.
0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He rushed 2 times for 2 yards.
Okay.
Coy Detmer went in because I guess it was so bad that they put him in. 3 for 4 with 14 yards. The Cowboys had some guy named Drew Bledsoe as the quarterback.
Oh, how about that?
That was the year of Drew Bledsoe. It was funny. I have a friend who was a big Drew Bledsoe fan. He was a fan of him from college on, and he was a huge Patriots fan when Drew Bledsoe was on the Patriots.
Right.
Then when he got hurt, and some other guy, I forget who took over for him.
Yeah, we're not.
I forget.
It's in the past.
It's in the past.
It doesn't matter
It
anymore.
doesn't matter. He did nothing after that. I'm sure he was just,
A
a
blip in the radar.
blip in the radar. That's right. So then when he went to the Cowboys, my friend then became a big Cowboys fan also. I think he still is a Cowboys fan. But Drew Bledsoe, 24 completions for 289 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Mm,
So he had one heck of a day passing. Tyson Thomas and Julius Jones had 72 yards and 75 yards rushing for the Cowboys.
Jesus.
Yeah, there was a big day of rushing there. The Eagles' biggest rusher was some guy named Brian Westbrook.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 12 yards.
Oof.
Yeah, and 24 receiving yards.
Yeah, that
So
was that was not a good day for the Eagles.
no, not even a little bit. And it was good players. I mean, McNabb was a legitimate quarterback for many, many years. Westbrook was good. Terrell Owens had 5 receptions for 50 yards. So he was on the Eagles team.
Oh,
This
that
was
was that. This was the year that the Eagles imploded with
yes.
Owens. Okay.
And Owens was doing sit ups in his driveway in Morristown when he called a press conference because he wouldn't play for them anymore.
Right.
He, it's a shame. He was a phenomenal player, but he couldn't get out of his own way.
Correct.
So that took place in Sunday, October 9th, 2005 at Texas Stadium. What was Texas Stadium still in 2005? It's 63,199 people were there. They couldn't get the 200th person in.
Right. Got to
63,000.
stop somewhere.
That's right. And then in week 6, you'll like this one. Week 6 in 2022, the Cowboys were 4-2. They scored 17 points. The Eagles were 6-0 and they scored 26 points on the way to a victory here behind a quarterback named Jalen Hurts. He threw for 155 yards and 2 touchdowns. Cooper Rush was the Cowboys quarterback,
Oof.
which just because, okay, 181 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. The good Ezekiel Elliott was on the team at the time, 81 yards rushing and a touchdown. Tony Pollard, 44 yards rushing. You guys had Miles Sanders with 71 yards rushing, Jalen Hurts, 27 yards rushing, and Kenneth Gainwell. What's he up to?
He played
25
today.
yards. Did he play today?
A little bit.
There you go. 25 yards rushing. A.J. Brown, 67 yards receiving and a touchdown. Devontae Smith, 44 yards and a touchdown. Dallas Goddard, 22 yards. Did he get hurt?
I think he did today.
Yeah, I
I
think.
didn't see how bad it was. I didn't get an update. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I like that kid. I like him because his name's Dallas. Um,
Yeah, we traded up to move ahead of Dallas
you,
to get
you
Dallas.
you got the good Dallas on your team. I have the Cowboys. You have the Dallas Goddard. And Jack Stoll, 89, number 89, had 21 yards receiving.
Okay.
We had CeeDee Lamb with 68 yards, Jake Ferguson, 40 yards, Peyton Hendershot with 20 yards, Michael Gallup, I like that guy, 18 yards.
Yeah.
Um,
You could
and
use him now.
we could use him now. We need him now. So, Philadelphia interceptions. CJ Garner Johnson had 2 interceptions for you, and Darius Slay Jr. had 1 interception for you. So that was the week 6. I know you were complaining that all the ones that I find are all Cowboys wins. So here's an
Yeah.
Eagles win for
Well, there
you
you go.
on your road to 6-0 at the time. I think your 22 season was a pretty good one for you, maybe.
Yeah. We were a not throwing a semi controversial flag away from potentially being the champions.
Being the champions, yeah. But we know Cowboys know all about that. But there's been many rule changes that happened after we lost a play with
The
the
catch.
catch, the catch that was heard around the world, and a couple other things that have happened. So Yeah, so I feel no pity for you because you were one one controversial call away. We've been that way for years now.
But your controversial calls weren't in the Super
They
Bowl.
were not in the Super Bowl, but had we not had them, we could have gotten to the Super Bowl. That's
Yeah.
that's what I'm believing. That's what I'm
Okay.
believing. Yes. All right, so that's the this game in history. I got one win for the Eagles and one win for the Cowboys in the
Okay.
history for you. Uh sorry. There's no crying in Cowboys football is getting to me. I'm having little
Getting a little emotional.
little emotional. So now the main topic for this week, we're talking about what I don't understand, why people do this. The prevent defense.
All it does is prevent you from winning, right?
That's what it does supposedly. So Wikipedia, I went to Wikipedia to find out because Wikipedia knows everything. So here's their definition first. The prevent defense is a defense alignment in American football that seeks to prevent the offense from completing a long pass or scoring a touchdown in a single play and seeks to run out the clock at the expense of allowing short yardage gains. It is used by a defense that is winning by more than a touchdown late in the fourth quarter or in specific situations, such as third and very long, if it seems clear that the offense must pass the football to gain long yardage. I think some coaches should read this and know when to use the prevent defense
Yeah.
and not just because there's 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The assignment uses five or more defensive backs or players in that role, preferring fast players over large players. They back up so far that they concede short yardage plays, but try to ensure that no receiver is uncovered downfield or can get behind them. Now, I think the big thing in here is saying it is used by a defense that is winning by more than a touchdown late in the fourth quarter. How many times, and now maybe I'm just envisioning it wrong, but how
You're
many
not.
times okay, how many times have we seen teams go into prevent defense when they're not winning by a touchdown and just to try and run the clock out, and then they wind up giving up said touchdown and then putting themselves into a position where now they're screwed and now they're not winning anymore.
Yes, that happens very often. Yeah, the sometimes you just got to line them up and play your regular D. I don't understand hey, there's a minute 10 left.
Mhm.
Let's let them go down the field because they're going to have to use up a lot of time for it. And by the time that they get down to where they need to be, there's not going to be enough time. Doesn't ever seem to work.
No, I feel the same way. I feel it never seems to work.
If anything, that's the time where you want to put more pressure. You want to blitz more, this and that. You want to. Is there a big play?
You were in and
Uh,
out of there.
I said, is there if there's a chance you give up a big play? Yeah, there's a chance, but you still that's at least if you give up a big play in the first part of it,
Right,
you
you
got
have
a chance to
time.
score.
Yeah, you have time to get it back yourself. And here's the thing. When it's a game, it's like a 10-3 game. Like the team has scored one field goal the whole time. Your defense has been phenomenal. Like you think in the last minute they're suddenly going to figure out the secret to get past your regular defense?
Yes.
Keep doing what you're doing because it's been killing them the whole time. And
If it
I
ain't broke, don't fix it. Like,
exactly.
yes.
Exactly. If
Yes.
it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, if it's a 38-30 game, I understand because they already scored 30 points and you're trying to make sure that they don't get the last touchdown and 2-point conversion with the last 2-3 minutes left in the game.
Yep.
But I've seen it so many times when it's like a 7-14-7 game or something like that, or even less 7-10 game, and they go into prevent defense and they let them drive all the way down. And, especially in the prevent, you can use the sidelines. You get a catch, 7 yards, step
Yep.
out of bounds. Get another 7-yard catch, step out of bounds. And that 1.5 minutes that you have left, it can take 15-20 minutes for you to get all the way down the field of real time.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like, okay, they haven't been able to do this the entire game, and now you let them. And even like earlier this season, the Cowboys were losing a game, and then I think it was against Baltimore, and then Baltimore went into prevent defense, and suddenly the Cowboys were like, "Hey, look, we know how to play football."
Yeah.
No, you don't know how to play football. You're just playing against a prevent defense now.
Yeah, and you know what? The other thing that weirdly happened in that is they did that and they got confidence, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden Dallas got back in the game. And yeah, they
Yeah, and you give the other team that confidence also on top of it. They say, "Hey, we can score.
mhm.
You know, we can drive down the field." And then suddenly you start like with that confidence, you're able to say, "Hey, let's throw a trick play in. Let's pull a flea flicker here. Let's do this. Let's do that." And then suddenly you do get that big play, and you are, you know, you're back in it and thinking that you can do it again. I don't get it. I think today the Lions should have went to prevent defense for the entire second half of the game because the Cowboys could not do a single thing. So it was fine. But when it's a
In
close
most cases,
in most cases,
when your team doesn't suck,
yeah, then you don't want to do that. But I don't understand why they do it all the time. And it's like, I get it. I understand. You don't want to give up that big play, but you haven't given up the big play the whole game. So why would you suddenly give up the big play now? I don't know. That's me on my soapbox, and I think you agree with me.
yes,
Um,
wholeheartedly. That it's very rare that I see the prevent defense not have the team drive down the field and put themselves in position to win the game. I don't see it ever working. Like it's
no,
never working the way that it's supposed to.
no. And then on top of it, it's like now they get all the way down to the 20, they get into the red zone, and now your defense has to buckle down
And make a
and
play.
make sure and make a play where
Right.
they could have made that play at the opposing 40,
Yep.
gotten a sack or an interception or something,
Yep.
you know, and but now you're making twice as much pressure because if you miss the play now, it's a guaranteed touchdown because
Yep.
there's no room behind you. So yeah, so I think it's stupid. I think it's dumb, and I guess it's just the safety thing. It's just an easy thing. It's like, okay, you know, we won't give out the big play because you don't want to read about it in the papers the next day that you gave out the big play with the last 2 minutes left. But instead, you hear all about how you let them drive all the way down the field and then they score a touchdown to beat you and go for two, and then you lose 11-10, you know,
Yeah.
like something stupid like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So that's my soapbox. If somebody can explain to me how it is actually useful, because I've never played, but as a pedestrian watching on the sideline and going, they haven't done anything all game. Don't do it. Don't let them do it now.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's that.
Yeah. No. If anybody, yeah, I agree. Anybody that can explain it, please do.
Please do. All right. Well, we're almost at an hour, and so I think it's time for our awards. I don't know if you thought of any awards tonight,
Yeah, I got one.
but I have. I think I'm going to do a Jerry Jones award every week because until he relinquishes control of the Cowboys, it's going to have to be something related to him. So this week's Jerry Jones award from me is the Happy Birthday Jerry Jones award. Today was your birthday. You were 83, and the Cowboys played like crap. Please sell the team.
So yeah, I don't know what we're calling this. I forget exactly what we decided on this, but I'm going to go a different direction, completely outside of the your team sucks football related piece, and I'm going to go the Philadelphia Phillies bats.
Oh, okay.
Um, going up and down the line, JT Realmuto, you don't get a pass. You flat out sucked. You
Yeah.
flat out sucked. Um, Turner, you swung at some of the worst garbage pitches imaginable. You swung at 7 pitches in the dirt in high, um, in situations where we really needed you
To not do that. Yeah.
to not do
Do you think he was hurt all season? There were rumors that he was hurt, and
that.
that's
Look,
why he was.
I don't give a shit. Hurt does not make you swing at balls that bounce in the dirt
That
before they
bounce in
leave
the
the plate.
dirt 5 feet before the plate. Yeah, I agree
Yeah,
with that.
That did not help. That did not change that. Bohm, was awful.
They benched him in game 2 because he was so bad.
Yeah,
And then they brought him in for as a pinch hitter.
Marsh, terrible.
Marsh, yeah.
Uh,
Like, why? And it happened to them last year.
that's yeah. You know what? I feel that they are not clutch when the pressure gets on. They are not. Um, they're they clamp up.
So 3 years ago, was it 3 years ago when they were in the World Series, or was it 2 years ago? Whatever it was,
Well, yeah. I mean, depending on which way you look
which
at it,
way you
yeah.
look at it. 3 seasons ago, they were in the World Series. Nobody expected them to do that. They came in the hot team. They came in the Mets of 2024,
Yes,
the hot team coming in. And this is the other thing this season.
the rest are rusting.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, we were on fire in the first half of the season. Then at the All-Star break, then we suddenly, everything fell apart. The
We
Mets,
got it back a little bit, but
a little bit.
never. Yeah,
Yeah, but never back to the way it was for the first half of the season. The Mets were dumpster fire the first half of the season. And then at the All-Star break, they all sat down. They all went out to TP in the middle of the Nevada desert. All had a big powwow. All got their zen, came back and decided, hey, watch us be the best team in the second half of the season. They had the best record in the second half of the season. They won the game that they needed to win of the first of the double headers.
yep,
And then they said, we don't care about the second of the doubleheader. Let the Braves win the second of the doubleheader.
exactly.
And the Diamondbacks were like, wait, what? What's going on here? Stop it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then, I mean, they were rolling against the Cowboys against the Phillies when um, they just, they didn't panic at all. And then, like, then, not like game 4, they had like one big hit. It just happened to be a grand slam home run to give them the 4-1 lead,
Yep.
like, but yeah. So 2 years ago, it was the World Series. And I think, like you said, they choke up when it becomes clutch. Nobody expected them to do anything 2 years ago.
So they didn't have they didn't um there was no reason to be worried about being clutch 2 years ago because they were
Right.
just happy to be there. They weren't expected to be there. There wasn't the pressure. Last year, when there was pressure, as they finally kind of got in to a
Hmm.
series that the series that they weren't supposed to win or that they were supposed to win.
Right.
Every series that they weren't supposed to win, but the series they were supposed to win, all of a sudden they feel pressure and yeah, the
Yeah.
whenever favorite is seemingly when it falls apart. When
Yeah. And then this season, it was, the NLDS. They just, the pressure was there, and they fell apart. It was very similar. Somebody posted it to the 2008, 2009, or
yes, I
9,
know. Yep.
9, 10, and 11 years also, because
Mhm.
8 we win it, 9 we lose it, then 10 NLCS and 11 NLDS, and that's
Yep.
the same thing that happened.
And
Now,
then they completely fell off after
yeah.
that.
Now,
Uh,
I also feel like their pitching,
the bullpen.
the bullpen was just horrible. They were just like scared. They were so afraid to make a mistake. Like, they really felt the pressure,
Yes.
and they were so afraid to make a mistake that that's all they were doing was making mistakes.
Yep. Yeah. It was again everything that got them there. They
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah.
And now we're sitting here with the Mets,
Ugh.
the Yankees,
The Yankees.
the Dodgers,
Yeah. Like, all
and
it's,
then the Guardians. Like it's like Guardians of the are our only hope.
yeah. Yeah. The Guardians, I'm rooting for the Guardians because I don't like the Dodgers. I definitely don't like the Mets, and I hate the Yankees. So definitely rooting for the Guardians all the way. But I the worst thing that could ever happen would be a Subway Series again.
Yep.
Yankees Mets would just be horrific.
Agreed.
I feel like Aaron Nola, while he's a phenomenal pitcher, he needs to get through the first 2 innings. If he throws up a watermelon in the first 2 innings and somebody hits a home run off of him, I feel like he also panics in those situations.
He gets his pitch count up high and whatnot as well. Like he, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Anyway,
Anyway, so yeah, so
Yeah. So that was my
your award
award.
goes to the Phillies for stinking it up, the bats. But yes, we'll
Yep.
call it the no show award for
The no
not
show.
showing up when we needed them to. I even made a Liberty Bell. So real
I
fast,
seen that. Yeah. The your yeah. Plug away.
yeah, my dad in '83 worked for a company that put the original Liberty Bell on top of old Vet Stadium. And then when they blew up the stadium, I was there. Did you go when they knocked down the stadium, or were
No,
you
I
there
watched it on
yourself?
TV.
Okay, yeah. So I was down there. I have a piece of Vet Stadium, a giant chunk of concrete from Vet Stadium.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And So we were down there. They took the Liberty Bell off before they demolished it, and then it disappeared. It was gone. Like somebody bought it. It just went into a warehouse. It was gone for a really long time.
Yes, I remember hearing about this.
Then it was in at one of the meat packing warehouses right there on Patterson. Somebody over there bought it and had it just sitting in their warehouse, like it was just there in the warehouse for
Collecting dust. Yeah.
collecting dust. So then finally it got bought back to the Phillies, and then they made their little park, little Liberty Bell Park out in front. So now it's sitting out in front of the stadium. You can see it. But yeah, my dad was one of the people, and actually, if you look, there's a picture right there talking about it, and it has two people in the picture up on the scaffolding, and my dad was the guy to the right.
No shit.
Yeah, so that's my dad up there. So he passed away many years ago. So every time we go, the fact that it's back really makes me really excited to see it. Every time I go, I took a picture with my son, who's named he's the third. He's named after my dad and I as well. So it was like the only way we're ever going to get three generations in one picture is by the two of us standing in front of that Liberty Bell. So long
Did you
story,
make your son a Cowboys fan?
neither of my kids will admit to me that they're Cowboys fans because they've been peer pressured by their friends at school to be Eagles fans. So they won't they
As they should.
as they should not. But he is a Phillies fan. He does like the Phillies. He's going. It's funny. He's at Drexel. My oldest is at Drexel now, and he's last year he went to like three different Phillies games with friends from Drexel. I'm like, when I want to take you, you don't want to go. Like when he was little, he would go and he would play on like his PlayStation, his DS or something like
Yeah.
that, or read a book or something like that. We've been to a bunch of. This is really digressing, but whatever. We've been to a bunch of different MLB stadiums. I think we've been to over 20 stadiums
Oh
between
wow, that's awesome.
old ones and new ones, like old Met Stadium, new Met Stadium, um, old old Yankee Stadium, new Yankee Stadium, old Washington Stadium, RFK, which now still holds soccer. So if you want a stadium that looks like old Vet Stadium, go to RFK. Uh, we've been to Oakland Stadium, which also looks like Vet Stadium with the giant hole cut out of the middle of it. So we've been to a whole bunch of stadiums all around. Fenway, both in Chicago, everything down in Florida, all over the place. So, um, yeah. So, but when my wife would just take a book and read, and I'm like, "You're missing." She's like, "Yeah, I don't care." So my kids get the sports niche from her, where it's just like whatever.
Yeah.
But he does like the Phillies, and the two of us have gone to a Phillies game together this year, which was a lot of fun.
Nice.
But anywho, back to the Liberty Bell. So my cousin he's a big he does a lot of light displays like around your house. So if you want a light display with like, fancy designs and all that stuff, like let me know and I'll send you his information. He does all that. That's like one of his businesses that he does. So he had a Liberty Bell cut out, and I was like, oh, I had an extra piece of plywood in my garage. I was like, I spent last Saturday going out there. I cut out the Liberty Bell. I got Christmas lights. I put it in there. I painted it. I hung it up, and they win one game since I did that. So I was able to light it up one time.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah. So you had your buddy help you with the or your you said your
well,
brother or
my cousin,
your
my
cousin
cousin,
your
my
cousin.
cousin made one, and I was like, "Oh, how much does that cost?" And it was a couple $100. It was like $300 or $400, and I was like, "Okay." So I went up, stole his idea, and made one myself.
Oh, so you lit it up yourself. You found a
I
way to
lit it
get
up
it. Yeah.
myself. Yeah, I just got Christmas. Luckily, it's Christmas season. It's October. They have
Yeah.
Christmas lights in the stores already. So we were able to run to Walmart. I got a 200 red Christmas lights. That thing has 200 lights on it.
Oh wow.
And I was able to, fill in all the lights and whatever.
Well,
Um,
you still have your woodwork thing. Your what is it, RNS? Is that what it is?
RAS. I
RAS.
don't. Still have the machine. I still have the CNC machine. Yes, I don't promote
You
that at all or do anything with that.
okay?
I'm always doing something creative, but I never hold on to anything long enough to actually like turn a profit on it. Unfortunately,
Gotcha.
because I'm lazy like that. I don't know. I panic. This is like a therapy session for me. I once once something turns into like a job, then I start to panic because I'm like, oh gosh, what if people don't like it? So that's where I start to when people start asking me, oh, I'll pay you for it. Then I start to really stop doing it. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, so I made a Liberty Bell. I'm thinking next year for during the whole season, I'm gonna hang it up out in front of my house,
Yeah, you got to.
and I'm gonna try really hard. Every game that we win, turn the lights on. Every game that we don't win, turn the lights off.
Yeah,
So hopefully, I'll be able to turn it on over 90 times next year. But we'll see what happens.
yeah. It's going to be an interesting off season. But anyway,
Yes,
yes. I know we're getting a little bit over on time.
way off, and way off of football, by the way. But okay. At least we can agree on that. We both love the Phillies, and we're both disappointed that they blew it.
And a plug for our buddy while we can.
Oh yes,
Did you
Buttons
get
Book.
your
I
copy?
didn't get it yet. No, I have to order it. But yeah,
Okay,
did you? How is it? Did you read it?
it's good. It's really
It's good.
good. Yeah, I'm about a quarter of the way through. Really, yeah, really well written.
Yeah. So
You know,
what it would read the title again to for those of us
it
that
is No One Likes Us, But We Do Care.
but we
It's
do
a
care.
friend of ours, Sean Selby, Bob Cooney, great writer on the Fanatic for a bunch of years. He wrote the foreword. Ton of interviews in it. So the first, just give a quick background. The first chapter is about his life growing up and kind of how he became a sports fan and what his fandom's about and just kind of how it's followed him through life and the people that he's met. The second chapter is all about interviews. It's three different sets of interviews with some interesting people or well-known people in the sports world.
Okay.
One is Matt Edwards from the Relief Room.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Rob you've heard about this,
No.
and I don't want to give away too much from the book, but
Okay.
his Relief Room is its bathroom. It's the Relief Room, and it also has the name Relief Room because it's a shrine for Philadelphia Philly relief pitchers.
Oh, okay.
So there are baseball cards
Oh, that's
everywhere
funny.
and
Everywhere of all the
pictures,
relief pitchers,
and it's the most obscure relief
that is really
pitchers, and
funny.
like it started out with the Brad Lidge and kind of grew from there. But again, you could read by the book, read about it. You'll learn more about that. And then
Yeah.
Erock is the other one. He's the had that Fourth and John podcast for a while. A huge fan. Does a lot of the promotions now. Each week he does like an Eagles hype video.
Okay.
And then Pat Morlerin, who's a friend of ours that writes for the high school sports, that writes articles for us on our site and everything else, and it's been on our show a few different times, and talked about his fandom and kind of what where he got his from, and kind of how it helped him get through a tough time and everything. So
Very cool.
yeah, and then the third chapter was about the Phillies winning the World Series and kind of days in the life leading up to when it happened,
Uh huh.
the immediate aftermath of it, and then the taking in of the parade.
Okay. In 08 you're talking about, or in
Oh wait,
1980? Oh wait. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we're a little too young for the 1981.
I was in fifth grade in 1980. I remember we had a pep rally in my elementary school,
Wow. Okay.
and I think the Eagles might have also gone to the Super Bowl that year
Yes, against Oakland.
against Oakland. And I remember being so excited for the pep rally for the Phillies, and then so mad that I had to sit through a pep rally for the Eagles. I was like, I am not cheering. I am sitting down, and I had my Cowboys hat on and everything. I was like, nope, not going to do it. But yeah, I remember that. I remember 80 vaguely. I just remember that they won. I don't remember. I mean, we have the video footage of it all the time, but I don't remember. I wasn't allowed to stay up that late. It was, they always
Yeah.
started 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, whatever it was. But I do remember them winning in 80. And then 2008, I remember, I remember my son was like 3 years old. And I remember saying to Trey, I go, "You're so lucky. You're only 3 years old and you get to see the Phillies win a World Series." I was like, I had to wait till I was in fifth grade for this. And he's just looking at me because he's three. He's like, what?
Right. Yeah. He's like, let me go back and play with my truck. Leave me
Yeah.
alone.
So, yeah, so that was a good time. And then I had season tickets in '09, and I was at the um Cliff Lee game in '09 when we
That's
won
awesome.
against the Yankees. It was so both I had one ticket to each round, NLDS, CS, and then the World Series. And I remember each round getting considerably colder and considerably louder. And I thought the DS game was so loud. And then we got to the NLCS game and it was even louder. And I was at the only game that they won at home in the World Series. And
Yeah.
it was just so exciting. It was from, and this is what's great about baseball, playoff baseball, is like every pitch counts. And just like you're on the edge of your seat the whole time, you're standing, every single is like a home run in the regular season. You're going nuts.
It's the craziest thing. Not to interrupt, but it's the craziest thing in a regular season. You put the Phillies on as background noise.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
check in on it every once in a while just to kind of see what's going on in the game, or maybe a big at bat with Harper if you see the bases loaded, or hey, Wheeler's on the mound tonight. Let me tune in for this, or if it's a good pitch, like, but it's not. But in the playoffs,
Uh-huh.
every like you're literally looking at pitches like 2-0. You can't go down 3-0. Like it's like that pitch matters to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm not one to yell and scream at the TV at a game. Now today I was crying, but I'm, I'm not one to like yell and scream at every single one. But when it's playoff baseball, I'm standing. I'm like, come on, yes.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, like every single pitch, you're like, oh, and when, like you said, when Harper's swinging at one that's bouncing in the dirt 5 feet in front of home plate, like you're spinning around in circles, you're kicking the cat, you're doing all these things. You're like, what is going on?
yeah,
Like you're throwing a fit because every single pitch matters.
yep,
So it is awesome. It sucks that this year it ended so early for us. But the Mets were the second half team and we were the first half team. So we need to be garbage in the first half and then come in the second half and then turn it on then because I don't know. We after the All-Star break, it just didn't even feel the same.
yep,
Like it didn't
yeah.
even feel the same.
We need to figure it out one way or another.
Yeah. So all right, well, that's enough with that. Our football podcast. Thanks for listening to our football podcast. But yeah, and I'm sure as basketball season, hockey season rolls around, we'll go off on tangents on the Flyers and the Sixers as well.
Yeah, we definitely could do that a little bit.
Yeah. So, for until 2 weeks from now,
Yeah,
after the Cowboys get two more wins, just like they had tonight. Actually, we're in a bye week next week, so we'll only have an opportunity to have one more win. But you guys are done your bye week. You're playing 2 weeks in a row.
that's true. Yep.
So, yeah. So in 2 weeks, we'll be back. Tell your friends to listen to us, check us out, and please send some love towards me and the Cowboys organization because they definitely need it more than the Eagles do right now.
Well, yes, and the thing is that if this continues to go this way, I mean, it could be good listening, just tuning in and hearing a Cowboys fan cry, and just
Crying.
you can bask in the glory of it like I am right now.
Yes.
This is great.
You're like, oh, I love it. I love it. And I'm sitting over here with tears running down my face. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I
Yeah, I
think
usually don't. I usually don't get too. I usually don't like to see people in agony, but I make exceptions for
you make exceptions for
when the
Cowboys fans.
Cowboys.
You
Yeah.
sure do. So, all right. Well, I can't even say it because your team won. So you can go ahead and say it, and
Yeah,
then we
your
can
team
end
sucks.
it. Yeah.
Dallas sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. All those things. All right. Until 2 weeks from now.
All
Hopefully, I have something better to root about.
right. All
All
right.
right.
Take care, Rob.
Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
Bye. Oh man. All right. I'm gonna stop. Pew. You will be able to reconnect.